Hello, I'm Li Hao. Welcome back. We've been building a client-side routing library with Svelte, and it's a file-based routing. And if this is the first video that you've watching, then which means that you have missing out a lot. We have been go through a long way, so don't worry. I have the link to the playlist in the description section below. Just click on it and watch the previous videos and catch up. So let's recap a bit on what we have done so far. In the last video, we've managed to get our file-based routing to be able to extract the parameters from the file name, generate the regular expressions based on that, and the parameters name. So now our file-based routing is almost complete. It's just that we still have a little bit of kinks where basically the layout itself is still a page route. We haven't handled the layout component specially, right? So, and that's what we're gonna do in this video. Sorry to jump in, but I got an important thing to tell you, which is that if you're following along, coding along with me, the code for all this is on the GitHub repo. Link in the description. Just follow along. If you miss any steps, each changes are in individual commits. So you can just check out that commit and take a look at what you are missing. Now follow along. Let's take a look at the code so far. Let's collapse this. So the function that steps through all the files and generate a list of routes is this function called explore folders. This is where we find explore folders recursively, and whenever we find a file, we're gonna push that file into our routes and return that route. Of course, which means that here is the place that we need to check if the file name is layout.svelte, then you need to take it out. So that's quite simple. So you can say if the file equals to layout.svelte, then we're gonna do a special handling over here. Right, so if you save this and let's try to run this new script that we have. Now, if you take a look at our generated type file, you no longer find components that is named layout, right? So of course, but still this is not complete yet because we know some of the components like this route needs a layout. So we need to able to find like which layout matches for this which component. So first, before we do that, we need to store this layout somewhere, and then we apply layouts to each of the routes later on. So to do that, we are going to create a variable called layouts, and it's going to be in an object, right? So that it's easier for us to search later on. So this layouts object, we will store the relative path. Let's see, what is the relative path? The file path. This one, the relative path to the root directory. So I think we can, have it here. No, I'm gonna store it in a variable relative path. And I can also store it in a variable over here in this level. Then I can reuse this as well, relative path. So here, layouts relative path equals to the component path. I feel like I've not been using component path at all. Maybe you should remove this later on. So here we have relative path. Just like this for now. Right. So I think I'll still keep this, but I feel like we are not going to ever use this. So here we have our layouts. If you, after we explore, let's console out, see what we have in our layouts. Let's see, clear, generate. Oh, we have so many things consoling out. Let's remove them. We don't need this. We don't need this. Okay, we only need the layouts. So I run again. So we have two layouts. One is at the item layout, which is this component, and we have the shop layout, which is this component. Okay, so how do we match the layouts for the routes? I think we should do it after we explore, because you never know the order of when we encounter layout or we encounter routes later on. So we just extract all the layouts and all the routes in this pass, and then later on we can go through all the routes, const route of routes, and then we see which layout should be applied to the route, and then we just push it to the routes.layouts array like this one, right? We just push a layout if we find something. So how do we know whether a layout component should be applied to these routes? Well, let's see. Let's first print out the console.log the routes.relative path. So here the relative path is like this, and this. So this path is a path. So if I do, say for example, console.log path.dir name, which is to get the directory name of the path, then okay, let's see. Let me print out nicely. So this is the relative path, right? So this is the relative path, this is the directory, let's console that out and see what we get. Right, so this is the relative, this is the directory, right? And we can keep doing this directory. Let's make it an array. Directory of the directory, directory of the directory, directory of the directory. Keep going up, then you will see that here we keep going up until we reach dots, which is no more directory. So how is this useful? Well, if you look at each of this directory, if you try to append a suffix of /_ layout.svelte, and we can look up from the layouts map. If it exists, then this is a layout that we're going to apply. If it does not, then we'll keep looking until we encounter a dot, which is we reach the roots of our roots folder, then which means we no longer need to look up anymore. Right? So this is how we can have nested layouts. Right? We can search for item / shop id / layout.svelte, item / layout.svelte, or just the layout.svelte in the root folder. Right, so these are all the possible layouts that we have. Right, so let me just print it out later on and one by one and show you what I mean. So here I print out maybe a divider first. Okay, this is the relative path, right? So I'm gonna assign a variable called directory name equals to this one, while directory name is not equals to dot, just dir name equals to dir path.dir name of the dir name, right? Console log okay, put a layout candidate equals to dir name plus /_ layout.svelte. So we're gonna see we have this one, relative path, and let's see all the potential candidates. Console log layout candidates. Let's remove all this. Let's try run again. Now here the relative path is this one, the potential candidate is this and this and this, right? For this one, the relative path is this, the potential candidate is this, this, and this. And true or not, we able to find this here. So this is the layout component to be used. If you have another component over here, then this will be used first, and then I'll add this one later on. So I think we need to fix a bit on this one. So because in our case, if we have a file in the root directory, like let's try add a layout component here. We have something like this. We'll try to run. Then this is in the just layout without the dot slash. So I think we can do just basic code, like say if dir name equals to dots, then it's the layout dot svelte, or else it's this dir name plus the slash layout dot svelte. So let's try again. So the potential candidates are all this, and for this one it matches to shop and this one, shop and this two, right? So with the candidate, we actually look out for the layouts dash layout candidate, and if layout is something that is valid, then routes.layouts.push. I see, we're gonna push, just push it in. I push layout. So at this point, if you go to console out the routes, you will see that, let's clear this. See that now we have this matches these two layouts, this matches these two, all of them matches some layout because it's the root layout that we added. And now we can use these layouts in our generated code. So let's see how we can use it. So we push the inner ones first, right? And then the outer ones later on. Which means that in our code, the inner ones will have to come at the bottom, right? So if the layouts array will have like something like this, 0, then it should be the closest to this array. So layout 0, layout 1, layouts 2, and so forth. Yeah, it's a bit of inconvenience. I feel like I can just, instead of push, I use unshift, right? I think it's called unshift. Let's try run again. Oops, should logs out the routes. I was confused with shift and unshift. Yeah, I think unshift does push in, because shift is pushing something out, shift it out. So here I unshift, which means it's the opposite direction. Push is push from the back, and unshift is push from the front. So the push from the front, that means the last one will be at the first item, and the first one will be the last item. It's the other way around. So our layouts now looks like this. So it's much easier for us to do our job, which is to look through the layouts and map and generate this code over here that you see. And to think about it, I don't actually need layouts as like a separate thing. I can have it as part of the, what is this, relative path, as part of like the components array. Then I can join it easily with all the I can have a components array like this, components, and the thing is that I can also have a relative path over here, and this layout, I'm gonna shift just the layout dot relative path. So here I can, since this is called components, I can copy this components, replace this components map, and then we have the relative path, right? So here I'm gonna join with again comma /n. does not have to /n. /n is just make it easier to read. Actually, it's not that much easier to read. So later we will auto format it. So here, relative path, I'm gonna generate this from the relative path. So this is the code that we're gonna have. Right. And let's try to run our code. Our script run generate, no errors, great. And let's format this. And now we have 3 components for this one with our root layout. We have one root layout like this. We have layout like this, right? It looks legit. Let's try to run. If we see we've encountered any runtime error. No, which is great. Shop. Just to try. Previously, we able to go to like say shop layouts. This is treated as the parameters, right? Ignore that. Shop 1, 2, 3. We have a shop with the router now. If we go to layout, then this is not a valid route. And we have our routes over here. So if I come over here to the this folder, and if we add something here and at the bottom, then this is wrap around. This is the outer layout, and we have an inner layout, and we have the last layout over here. So what we have achieved so far, basically we have able to write our file-based routing library that handles layouts. We can find the layouts that's going to be applied, and then we generate that list of layouts that will be used. We have our nested routes just based on a file-based routing, right? So we can just create more layout component like here. Just create another one more, and this is like in the shop ID, and okay, we need to regenerate our routes definition. But you can see that if I go to item, there's this, right? So it's like nested, and you can nest however many layers we want. And that's it's an achievement. We should clap for ourselves. Okay, so we get this basic layouts routing done. So what's next? So there's a few things that we skipped so far, right? Let's take a look at, I think we have some to-dos, right? We're able to handle layouts, right? Pat on the shoulder, done a great job. Now, generate routes definition, of course, we have done it so early on. So now we can clear this, but I believe we still have some to-do, right? The to-dos over here, let's see what this is about. Okay, the to-dos over here is about the parameters matching. So if you try to visit item ASDF, something like that, still shows you this, which is kind of incorrect. Remember previously we do have parameters matching. This should be a haha because this is not numeric. So we need to take this back. We need to have this feature back in our file-based routing script to generate the routes definition. We need to generate this back. So that is what we're going to explore in the next video. So if you like this video, thumbs up. If you want to know when the next video is coming out, subscribe to my channel, turn on the bell notification, and we shall see you in the next video. Bye bye.